Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. This is my book, HMP Manchester Prison Officer. It's available on Amazon. There's a link below. Do please like and subscribe, all down there. All right? I'm going to talk today about the problem that people have with not only drug addiction, but with starting off life at the wrong end of society, and how difficult it is to actually dig yourself out from that. And what's inspired me to discuss this matter is meeting with a man called Lee Marvin. And he suggested I read his book, which I have been doing, and it's called Born in Prison, and it was published by Gadfly Press, which publishes my books, the editor being Sean Atwood. And Lee Marvin, a very nice guy. His book, you've got to read this book, seriously. If you want to understand what it's like coming from the roughest end of town, then read Born in Prison. It's available. I'll put a link down there to Born in Prison, right at the top of the links down below, and have a look, because it really is eye-opening. The only other book that I have read that is similar to that was written by a man called Mark Leach, and the book's called A Product of the System. Well, Lee Marvin was a product of the system, because Lee Marvin was born in prison, and he was born in Style, actually. His mother was a drug addict and serving a term of imprisonment at Style, and that's where he was born, inside the locked wards of the prison unit in there. And from there, it was a kind of a downhill spiral. He was eventually adopted, having been in an orphanage for a while, because he took the child away, took Lee Marvin away from his mother when he was a baby, and placed him into an orphanage, and he was subsequently adopted. But he had an abusive father, or a stepfather, or an adoptive father, who used to beat him. And very similar situation to Mark Leach. You really must read A Product of the System and Born in Prison. You really must read it, because it shows how difficult it is when you're placed in a situation like that. Because you're on a road, aren't you? You're not meeting with the sons of doctors or lawyers or serious engineers or scientists. No, you're meeting with drug dealers, you're meeting with violent people, you're meeting with drunks and drug addicts, and that's the path you're on. And once you're on that path, then you start to fall into a pattern of behaviour that is extremely difficult to extricate yourself from. Lee Marvin has done that now. And I met him the other night when I was watching Michael France's in Manchester, or Greater Manchester. And he came across to introduce himself, and I thought, this guy is a sensible man now. And having read his book, I can see how difficult it would be, because once you've been abused as a child, and he wasn't just abused, physically abused, he was sexually abused. Now, if you read A Product of the System by Mark Leach, some of you may not know Mark Leach, but Google him, because he is the founder of a charity, I think it's called Unlock. He's the editor and now the publisher of the Prison's Handbook, which is details of all the prisons in Great Britain. And he's a highly intelligent guy. The last time I heard of Mark Leach, he was running a chain of restaurants in Taiwan. You've probably seen, if you think about it, Mark Leach on the Newsnight and the BBC News, because he used to be the spokesperson for the BBC on prisons. I believe he still does numerous interviews. I haven't seen him for quite some time now. Because when he first came out of prison, Mark came to see me with a view to helping him get a publisher, which I did, and assisted in the creation of his second volume of the Prison's Handbook. And from there he went on success after success and has never reoffended since. And Lee Marvin is on that same similar trajectory, but it's an upward trajectory now, not going in the wrong direction. Highly recommend you read Born in Prison. The link is down below. And the problem that Lee Marvin had was that he was associating with people who were dealing in drugs. He went on to deal in drugs himself. Of course, the money came in, and you think that this is the answer to your problems. It's just the start of your problems. Because when you're in that situation, dealing with those kind of people, and you've got money, they'll come and take it off you. Now, I've never taken drugs at all, other than the drugs that I'm prescribed by my doctor. So I haven't indulged in entertainment taking of drugs. Take some Jack Daniels at the weekend, now and again, and a glass of beer now and again, but it's now and again, it's not all the time. It's not every day, it's certainly not in the week, because I'm working in the week. And as I say, when you're reading that book, you see how difficult it is. And once you've been abused as a child, then you feel that the society is your enemy, and you try digging yourself from that because it's a frame of mind, and you've got to get yourself out of that and back online. Lee Marvin has done that. So if you're watching this, Lee Marvin, send me a message, give me a link. We can do it a broadcast on here. You know, we can do a live broadcast together if you want to do it on my channel, and maybe set your own channel up. Yeah, which would be a good idea. I highly recommend that. Publicise your book, and you should be doing public speaking, because I believe that it's important that people know exactly who these unfortunates are. And Lee Marvin has dug himself out of that pit, and he's back on track, and I'm sure that he's going to succeed, and you're all going to go and buy a copy of his book, A Product of the System by Mark Leach, and Born in Prison by Lee Marvin. Yeah, you're going to do that, I'm sure you are. You also get a copy of my book. Yeah, of course, I wasn't abused by a drug-addicted parents or anything like that, but my father was incredibly strict, and his idea of punishment was he had a homemade, this is madness when you think about it, a homemade cat o' nine tails that he'd fashioned out of a big wadge of leather belts, and he'd sliced these belts so that it was all tassels. He used to whip me with that. Incredible. One night he bashed me up in bed, seriously, and by this time I wasn't feeling any pain, you know. I was immune to it, you know. It didn't bother me. And as he was going out, I said, well, that wasn't really your best effort, you know. I think you can do a lot better than that. I would give it 5 out of 10. Anyway, he got out the room. 2 minutes later, he came back with a bloody great lump of wood in his hand and broke it over my head. Smashed it over my head. Whoa! It hurt like hell. I said, "Hey, that's the one. You've got it back now. Yeah, you've got your mojo back." Mad. Imagine hitting children like that. Imagine. These days you'd get locked up. My dad was a detective inspector. I think he just got the idea, you know, that I was a bit of a rebel, and the only way to deal with rebels in his eyes was beat the bastards up. So that's what he did. Anyway, it's that time of day. Read my book, folks. Read the books. Born in Prison, Lee Marvin. It's links down there. I'll put another link to the book, A Product of the System. It's still available on Amazon. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to read you a poem now. I won't sing to you. I'll read you a poem. This is The Soldier by Rupert Brooke. If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England has shaped, made aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam, a body of England's breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by the suns of home. And think, this heart, all evil shed away, a pulse in the eternal mind no less, gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given, her sights and sounds dream happy as her day, and laughter learnt of friends and gentlemen in hearts at peace under an English heaven. The Soldier by Rupert Brooke. Tales from the Jails. Don't forget, 4th of June, 7 p.m. here, live broadcast.